Good evening. Welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may also know me from a couple closed roadie groups we got on Facebook. Got about 48,000 people over there. One's called Death Bolero. Another is called The Backstage Pass. This week, my dear good friend and co-host, Kyle Thomas, is off doing the touring thing with the great Claire brothers. In his stead is the most amazing friend a person could ever have. Recent birthday boy, the one and only, the head and owner of Truth and Audio. It is the great Bernie Broderick. How are you, Bern?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks for asking. I'm celebrating birthday 2 because now with social media, you have birthday 1 and you have birthday 2.
Yeah.
Birthday 1
Tell me about it.
is when all your buds go on your Facebook profile, wish you happy birthday. You see a bunch of people you haven't even heard from in 2 years.
Yeah.
They say happy birthday and stuff like that. And then at the end of the day, protocol is thanks everybody, appreciate the whole deal. So you do that in the morning after,
Yeah.
and then birthday 2 begins.
The belated birthday?
Yeah. And then the belated birthday tally starts coming up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm celebrating birthday 2 today. Social media, Facebook birthday 2 is what I'm doing today.
Well, you're worth at least 3. That's why I started it a day before your birthday.
And there is actually a pre-birthday.
Yes.
Because there's that one guy or one gal that just has to be the first person.
I gotta be right out the gate, like that. You know
right
how I
out
roll.
the gate.
Plus, you're special to me. So.
And I love everybody for doing it. It's just, you take the time to shoot out something, it speaks to you for sure.
Well, you touched a lot of lives in your career, making some.
They didn't prove that, by the way.
No, that's. But the jury's out, I think. And in case you didn't know, Bernie Broderick is not just probably my best friend and an incredible human being. He's worked with L Acoustics, with EAW, Adamson, all of the top loudspeakers designers in the world, or companies in the world, manufacturers, and he is the current owner of Truth and Audio, making extraordinary products. We're going to try to dig into his little brain right now and see if he'll let us know stuff about it. I noticed he didn't bring any props, so I'm not sure how much he's going to be willing to reveal. What's going on in your lab?
Well, it's, the show's had some downtime.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the Backstage Pass. So obviously, Russ never sleeps, and we've been keeping the fires lit and keeping things moving forward.
That's right.
And, I think really early on we talked about the TCMs, the transmission control module stuff, the networking stuff.
Yes.
That was like 2-3 years ago or something.
Was it that long?
It was a long time because.
Was that early development stages?
Yeah, but we shut it down. We shut all that stuff down during the pandemic because nobody had any need for it anyway.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I was like, well, whatever. So over the months, relit the project again, did some redesigns, gave me time to kind of rethink, the product family and things like that. And then about 2 months ago, we finally officially opened up the sale of the product, so you can actually buy it now.
Right.
And right on the heels of that, I get a call from a major loudspeaker manufacturer who said, "Hey, your stuff would be really perfect for our stuff."
Yeah, that's right.
But it needs to be AVB Milan. It can't be Dante. It can't be, it has to have the AVB Milan protocol.
To be able to work with it.
To be able to work with their stuff.
Yeah.
So, and initially the knee-jerk reaction was, I don't want to get involved anymore. I got this all done.
Yeah.
But I sat back and I thought about, man, that's really super compelling to think that I could have both. I could service one layer of crowd and the other layer of crowd. So dug deep. Went in, figured it all out, hooked up with some really, really good people, suppliers, stuff like that, and lo and behold, we're like a week and a half or so away from releasing a TCM AVB Milan, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, it really worked out spectacularly. One of the criteria is it had to stay within the TCM footprint.
Yes.
I didn't want to do a whole proprietary, whole new thing.
Yes.
And the switches we ended up selecting, the internal dimensions, the width of the TCM case is 213 millimeters.
Yes.
And we found a switch that was 210 millimeters. So literally a millimeter of space left on either side.
Tiny
and
bit.
I'm like, well, that's telling you all you need to know about whether I should do it or not, right?
Yeah.
So that's been incredibly exciting. Lots of conversations with a lot of people. I didn't know. I kind of get the feeling that the AVB market hasn't really been serviced that well.
Sure.
Because it does require
Underserved.
these specialty secret sauce things. And because of that, it's like a slow burn on products coming out for it. So I'm hoping that it's a good market, and we've done the right thing.
Yes.
With this utility-driven product line.
Well, we beta tested last year on the Oxbow shows. I don't remember who played that, but there was a bunch of national artists came through. We did, I don't know, 15 or 20 shows with that.
Yeah.
And the stuff performed like a champ. Of course, this is version 1.
Yeah.
And I saw and so we, loved it. It created time savings. It made things prettier, more efficient.
Yeah.
In the sense of cable flow and management, signal flow. There was just so many wins with it. We were just so pleased with it. And you made specialty adapters to deal with the bumpers and the special circumstances that are this very system that I'm sitting in front of here, the Anya EAW system. And it was absolutely magical. And then you recently had brought in, very proud, very, almost beaming, your newest creation to show us. And I was quite taken with the fact that you did maintain the footprint, but it's a very different box.
It's advanced,
Yeah, I mean, its function is largely the same in what it does.
Yep.
It's just because you had to go proprietary to do the special thing.
Well, I had to start over again
Yeah.
because the managed switches require different circumstances and things like that. So it was an excuse to kind of go back to the original design and say, okay, where can I make a bunch of really useful changes, not just for the new one, but for the whole product line in general, which I did.
Right. And it turned out beautifully. I mean, they're absolutely they're attractive. They look, and I know this from field use. They're very hardy, very sturdy, very
strong,
well constructed.
Yeah. Aluminum, all aluminum.
Yeah, and it's just really it's a good looking thing.
We won't keep people waiting for too long. I mean, it's
we're gonna
another
have
week
to
or
bring it
so,
here
and then
and
I'll be
show 'em.
jetting out some photos and things like that. I think one of the most important aspects of, and what really propelled me on the AVB Milan thing is it's not just audio.
No.
It's video.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and broadcast. So I have like 2 additional markets now that could be interested in this product instead of just the kind of Dante audio, crowd, right? So opens up a lot of new doors. Made a lot of new friends.
I know you did some traveling and put in the work.
Yeah,
You made some stops at special places
and there's nothing wrong with a major loudspeaker manufacturer calling you up and say, we really like your shit and we'd like to do something with you and put this together. And so that's a really huge thing.
It's a big deal, and I'm proud of you, and congratulations on that. I would love for you to, when time permitting and when you're ready to do the reveal, if you come back and share it with us and the audience, we'd just absolutely love that. I tell you, folks, I have seen it, and it is something special. So
it is,
and he could bring it in and walk us through the different attributions of the product.
I will do that. We're now, this is the last stage, so now we do heat soaking, we do water, we do throw it across the ground, we do all of that
test
stuff.
The shit out of it.
Yeah, that we did with Kiri, that we did with the original TCMs.
That's right.
Beat the bloody shit out of it.
Yeah.
And see if it still works. And that's because that's what we do. That's our industry. So
no, you're not wrong. It needs to be able to travel.
The work's not done just because it looks pretty.
Handle the rigors of the field, as it were, and the different hands that are going to touch it. They won't. Yeah, no, it's again very sturdy, very hardy, and an excellent design.
Well, thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a couple of guests here with us tonight. We got a little live audience.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Snoop's here, and Pat O'Doull's here. 2 Kiri owners, by the way.
Yes, so that's right.
That's nice for me.
And thank you guys for coming. These are 2 of our favorite people on the planet. Sure. So when the Snoop Diggity Dog comes in, that's WFA Audio, and just a dear friend, and of course the great Pat O'Doul. So thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I hadn't seen either of them for a minute, so it was nice to get.
I mean, Snoop hasn't been around for a minute. I mean,
he was traveling. He went to see friends, and he went to Cape Canaveral to see some space flight stuff. And so he was gone he got that new Winnebago, little kind of small size.
Pretty badass.
It's very, very nice.
Yeah,
and so he did what you should do when you get something like that. He hit the road.
road.
Yeah. And
I should have learned that
Lord
lesson
knows
a long
he's got
time
enough
ago.
experience and they know how to do that good, so he did perfect. So yeah, thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah. So.
And real quickly,
Yeah.
and like you said, I own Kerry, Mikey owns Kerry, Snoop Diggity and Paul own Kerry, Pat owned Kerry. Pat, did you see what I did? Remember that goes back in the days. Never mind. Greggy Price, right here in the
Greggy has one, yeah.
Metallica's front of house. All these people on Kerry.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to our guest tonight about his perspective on Kerry, and make sure that he comes around to the right side.
What a trap that was.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't even see that one coming.
We're going to get a check out of the guest before he goes this evening.
That's there's got to be a sales / marketing term for what you just did. It's a bear trap
listen, I love this man so much. I don't want him to feel left out.
Oh, that's true.
So this is for him. I'm trying to help him out. It's a brother thing. He would help me out. So I'm just trying to be there for him.
Just gonna help him out.
Yeah.
So
you were saying.
I was just gonna say about the note that I got here. I didn't know about this, but hell, super cool that you guys got in and supported the Hells Angels with their St. Patrick's Day celebration. Tell me about that.
Well, we have good friends that are members of the chapter of the organization. Of course, we don't that part of them we don't necessarily keep close with or anything. It's not like that. They're just some of their guys are also tradesmen in the game.
A couple of lanes, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of videographers and other folks in the business, and they're dear friends. Every so often they hold these. This is an annual thing, St. Patrick's Day party that raises money. And so we throw them some gear and any support they need to operate these things. I guess it's a fundraiser for good causes. That's the shirt from this year's version of it. And I guess on the back is all the sponsors.
Yeah, no sponsors in this one, by the way.
A gazillion sponsors. Look at that.
Yeah, nobody got involved with this one.
Yeah, LSV's in there, and of course us and everybody else. So I just wanted to send a shout out to John Fukushima. That is one of the top guys in the game. 44-year patch member and a dear friend, and just also happens to be one of the videographers. I mean, he's the go-to guy. He's Metallica. He does a lot of their live stuff. The Stones, Paul McCartney. When they want to get captured and look good, they reach out to these folks. So
and super cool, super nice guy.
One of the nicest guys on the planet, and I don't know why anybody would be surprised by that, but it is a little bit because you would think one thing and you'd just be wrong.
In his case, you would definitely be wrong.
Yeah, because he couldn't be more of a stand-up guy and great at what he does and a good friend. So thank you for that, Fook. And he's been on the show a couple times. If you're interested, go check out his shows. They're really good and interesting.
Yeah, lots on the pre-record.
Yeah, and we're happy to help out in any way we can. That's largely my brother. He's very. We help out our friends, and Georgie Porgy thought that was a good idea, and I agreed, and so there we go. And thanks to my big brother for letting me have the space to do this. It's George Edwards, Sound Image's general manager, my boss, let me have the space to hang out with my friends and catch up and record these histories and this experience. We only can touch on this briefly, but I will do this and I wanted to say a quick shout out to some of the diehards. Charlie Zaricki, good evening, my friend, the godfather of this show. Hope you're having a great evening. Ian Peacock, who it's probably about 3:30 in the morning where he's at in London. Wanted to say hi to him. We've got many fans and friends. That's the wrong word. Audience members, friends from around the world. We don't have fans that watch this show. And from Nova Scotia to Japan to on and on. Right. And, of course, a bunch of crazy people around this country. So
we got one crazy good fan that we need to check in on and let everybody know about Rick.
Okay, so you're right.
Yeah.
So Bernie and I are both, a lot of folks here in the Sound Image shop have a pretty strong relationship with some of the guys from Def Leppard. But in particular, I would say Bernie and myself have developed a pretty close relationship over the years with Rick Allen, their drummer. And he's a dear friend, and Bernie's has some ongoing projects where he's built some amazing bespoke, one-off theater systems for his home, studio systems. I was just listening to the surround system when I was at his house this weekend that you had made for him. It was really beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
It's very attractive, let alone sounds good. But he had a recent situation that you may have heard of, I'm sure, that he had I want to be careful here, and I don't want to say too much, but he was accosted in public and had a fall,
Unprovoked,
and
yeah.
unprovoked, standing there smoking a cigarette, and some crazy spring breaker in Florida attacked him, and he got a little teeny bang on the head, and he was pretty bruised up when I saw him, and feeling a little down that life could be like that.
For a guy like him, who is so over the top sweet and gentle and just wants to be friends. For a guy like that, especially, it's got to be a shock.
It is. I could see it in his eyes that he was still 5 days after the fact was still shocked and just like, what the
Disbelief,
hell?
yeah.
Yeah, and there's no way to find a place for it.
Right.
And again, you're not wrong. We've known a lot of rock stars, and they, some are great, and some are less so.
Yeah.
Rick Allen is one of the more unique guys. That is
yeah.
just a friend. He's a normal human being.
Yep.
And very good to us. And so we just wish him the best, and hope that he knows. And I've relayed this information. I know you have to him too.
Yeah,
If there's anything we can be doing for him, that we're just a phone call away, and we'll be there, and we'll do whatever it takes. And
Well, he's got a lovely family,
beautiful
they'll
family.
take care of him and
That's right.
and make sure he's good to go. I'm sure he's got if he's not back out already, he's got more touring to do and stuff like that. So that's going to be good. Keep his mind focused and get back in the game, kind of thing.
I think that's true. I think he'll need a few more. He'll need a little more time.
A little more.
And
more days.
unfortunately, his production manager was involved in this.
Yeah,
He
that was
came
the other
out to
thing,
try to help and was attacked by the same individual, and it was, from what I understand, was pretty awful.
Florida, eh?
Yeah, it's a unique space. They often talk about, and I'll get in trouble for this, and I don't give a shit. They often talk about California having a big earthquake and falling off into the sea. I can't think of a better place for that to happen than
Like
good old
Canada.
Florida. So
Sorry for the friends who live in Florida.
Yeah, we could just chop that thing right off and drop it into the ocean. I'd be cool with it.
I know the people that I know in Florida would probably say the same thing. So.
Oh yeah, they feel probably highly, strongly, similarly about us.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm cool with that.
Tense.
Anyways, our best to Rick Allen and his family.
On a high note, he's totally fine.
He's doing better at least.
He's doing much better,
Yeah.
and he's going to put this all behind him. I know he will, and he's going to go out and he's going to be the fucking Thunder God that we know he is.
That's right. Thunder God is exactly right.
Absolutely.
And
my first subwoofer is going to be called Thunder God.
Well, you got to clear it with him because that's
totally.
what he's known as.
Totally.
Literally.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that'll be.
But I'll
fine.
make it worth his while.
That's awesome.
He'll feel the thunder when he hears it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so thank you for being here this evening.
Yeah, man.
And it was your birthday yesterday. We talked about that, right?
No, I don't think we did.
No, you get the whole birthday
There's two
week.
birthdays,
You get the whole birthday week. So, all right.
It's birthday week. I'm 58.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're old as fuck.
I'm old as
sure.
fuck.
Yeah.
But I had a really good day and went out and had great dinner last night.
Yeah.
And couldn't be happier. It's another spin around the sun.
Mama took good care of you.
Yep.
Show you that good love and good food all that.
Yep.
All right. Well, you deserve that stuff, man. My best to your lovely girl. She's very sweet.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you more than you can know. Let's get with our guest.
Yeah, man. I can't wait.
Yes, we got the loving happy bear in the house. And, to be fair, this gentleman is also a very close friend of Rick Allen's as well, and might have some thoughts on the subject. Tonight's guest, who I just can't tell you this enough, you guys. I have a lot of friends. I'm very, very lucky, and a lot of them are pretty amazing people and do amazing things. This one in particular is truly one of my bestest friends. I know I'm a little fast and loose with that. Bernie Broderick is my best friend. Simple as that. But this guy is such a close friend. He is the guy. You're in a bar. Some shit jumps off. Somebody tries to get in your girl. It's going to be a bad night for that guy because my friend and John, myself, and some of the roughnecks we hang out with would clean that place to the ground. He is a tough man. He is a strong man, and he's a man with the biggest heart of anybody I know. He's an incredible staging professional, works with the folks over at Gallagher, has put up some of the coolest stages in the business. He came up through Bill Graham in many other ways. We're going to dig around in that. It's a lot. But in some ways, most interesting to me, he just recently survived a medical event that I kind of started as a stroke and turned into some other things. And it really shook a lot of us. And we're just super glad that he's doing better today. He's here to talk to us about it, and we're going to delve in deep. It is the one, and only John Del Rio of Gallagher Staging. Good
Yo.
evening, Johnny.
How you doing there, brother?
How are you, pal? Let me tell you how glad it is. I don't usually reach across and shake.
I'm
your
really,
hand.
really
Just
glad to
so
be here.
Glad to be able to reach out and touch
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And you know, we were worried, pretty sick about you, and I do know that you're a very strong man.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get pushed over.
I have to be reminded of that every once in a while, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, the big guys forget, I think.
Yeah,
Need to be reminded. But we are so delighted that you're doing better. Can you talk to us about, I'm going to dig around in some of the other aspects.
Yeah, no
of your stuff,
problem.
but let's just get this red elephant out, the pink elephant off the table.
Yeah.
You recently, maybe you could better explain.
Well, it's
what
funny
happened.
that he mentions 2 birthdays because I'm
right.
born June 18th, and then exactly 6 months later, I had the stroke on the 15th,
Yeah,
and then the
your second
life-saving surgery on the 18th.
Yeah.
And
What's your second birthday now? The 18th? Is
yeah,
that
the
when we should
18th, so
celebrate-
6
we
months
should
later. So
celebrate
I'm
it?
just doing it twice. My friend Gordon Taylor was the one who reminded me, you know, you got another birthday. This is a new start, you know. So,
Yeah, yeah.
And it truly is in a lot of ways. But to make a long story a little shorter, I went to bed on Saturday night, and I'd had some problems, you know, the week before. And as it turns out, I was having strokes on both sides of my brain, which is unusual.
Yeah, weird.
And my left arm was going numb, and I just, like any good stagehand, I just wrote it off as, you know, it's pinched nerve.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
and then
as we know. Yeah.
and then that night I went to bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I was walking like a drunk sailor. I had a hell of a time getting out of bed, and you know, I just kind of like didn't want to face the truth of what it might have been.
Yeah.
And I went back to bed. And the next morning I woke up and I talked to my girlfriend Judy, and she says, you got to get to the hospital, you know. So I called Kaiser, and my neighbor was home, and he gave me a ride. And of course I took a shower before I went.
Good boy.
Because who
Good
knows
boy.
how long you're going to be in there.
Yeah, you don't want to
Spare
go
undies.
No, but
Gross someplace
and
out,
I
yeah.
did that, and then they did a bunch of tests, and they was obvious that they had a stroke, you know. And then they went in deeper with the tests and did a sonogram on my carotid arteries,
Yeah.
and they realized that the left carotid artery was completely blocked.
So
And
you're saying 100% blocked?
yeah,
Left carotid
it goes
artery.
8 inches up to my brain. It was non-operable.
That is extraordinary.
And what's even more extraordinary is the right side was letting enough, about a thread of blood in. And it's about the size of your pinky almost.
So
you know?
is that it had clogged that much to where you just you were at the
They
last
told me that
legs?
was a very advanced case for
Yeah,
my age.
yeah.
And, you know, so that brings up, you know, I've got to check my heart, and I've got to really keep on stuff. And
Yeah.
I've been, you know, I've got new sneakers, and I'm doing a lot of walking. And,
Yes.
you know, I've got a lot of good friends that have come around to, you know, to walk with me. You know, Bob Powers is one. We go around the Emeryville Marina, or he's come out to my house, and we'll go around the park, you know, around the block even, you know. just
So this
doing
is
stuff like
the
that.
great Bob Powers, rigging fame, one of the
Yeah.
best in the business, largely known for Metallica.
Yeah,
rigging
but
out
the
for them.
doctor came in and told me, he says, you know,
The healthiest guys we know.
well, yeah, he's working on his health too, and it's really good. So
Yeah.
that's why we have a kind of a symbiotic relationship. We both work off each other with that stuff, so it's been good.
I'm really glad.
But anyways, I went ahead and I was in there Monday night, and then the doctor came and talked to me with Judy and said, you know, this is not good. You know, you've got your artery on the right is really, really bad, and he was really nervous. And I'm like, this guy does this all the time, and he's
Yeah.
freaking nervous.
Yeah.
So that made me nervous.
Sure.
And then he wanted to do it the next day, and I'm all like, you know, and I was thinking, you know, I might not come out of this, you know, is what my thoughts were.
Sure.
And he could read it in my voice and in my face, and
Posture.
and I says, look, I gotta, you know, I need 24 hours, you know what I mean? And he thankfully did that, and he gave me till that next day, Wednesday at noon, and so had a huge amount of people come in. I turned to Judy and I told her, man, I'm screwed, and she reminded me, you know, you're not screwed because you've just had a couple of strokes on both sides of your brain. You can move your arms and your legs, and you're talking without slurring your speech.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're here.
Yeah.
So, you know, she put a bright light on it, you know, a pretty damn situation. So my brother Rick, you know, him and his wife Lori, my sister-in-law, came down and from Reno, and then my brother Christian and my sister and her son Connor So all three of them drove out from Arizona that fucking day. And then, it took them 12 hours to get there. And then my brother Rick was the one who reminded me, you never turned down a fight. Why are you going to turn this one down, So really was their support and I mean, just everybody's love and reaching out to me. You never know how well you're liked or loved until shit hits the fan, you know what I mean? So, you can't, when I lost Kyle, you kind of realize how many people loved him and how many people loved me and didn't want me to go off the edge,
Yeah.
And so when this happened, it just, you draw strength from those people, Yeah, thank you. I got to tell you that, I've always said it's the gems in life that stop you from falling into the abyss,
Absolutely.
They're the rocks that stick out of the cliff, and you can hang on to them, pulling yourself out of that crap. So. But.
Absolutely. Well, I was going to go about it in a slightly different way, but you brought it up, so I hope it's okay to talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, you have touched a lot of lives. We both noticed. I think your phone filled up lickety split when we found out you were sick, and we all wanted to come over and see you. And it was almost a crush at the hospital. I remember you said that they're like, "Who the hell are you? And why are all these people here?"
Right. The next day, I had so many people.
Yeah, and it's because you've touched a lot of lives, and I know that Kyle did that as well. Kyle was your son, of course, still is your son. But we lost Kyle. Can we speak to that in the sense of speaking to suicide prevention?
Absolutely.
And maybe if there's anything how we could speak to.
Yeah, Kyle, had a pretty rough for a while, and depression is like this hidden disease that you don't know anything about.
That's right.
You can't see it, you can't fix it. What's funny is that I was post-op in ICU. Before you go into surgery, they're all treating you really nice and everything.
Yeah.
Because you might croak.
Yeah.
And when you get out, you're freaking, you made it, man.
Yeah.
You're a slab of meat. They get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, they got another body for that space.
So right, but it was like my first nurse that came in to see me. She had a son that tried to commit suicide as well, and I told her, I says, you can't take this as a nurse or as a mom. You got to listen to him, and no matter how crazy it is, talk with love and understanding, and that's the only thing you can do. And it may not do anything. You don't even know if that's the cure-all. But so Kyle had, it's going to be 8 years in September.
Wow.
And I actually mentioned to my son Ethan that I think Kyle had a lot to do with saving my life. And he said, "Well, Pop, if he had anything to do with saving your life, it's so you didn't go up to heaven and tell him what to do." Put him to work, because he was my worker.
He's a little bossy.
Yeah,
We know.
so
Put him to work.
I can be,
Like,
But I thought that was really funny and very
astute.
poetic.
Yeah,
Astute,
poignant.
yes.
Absolutely.
So, but anyways, I've been, you get through that, and the first year or two, everybody didn't know whether I was going to start drinking or whether I was going to jump out of the business or just flat out go crazy.
I think there might have been a little drinking, actually.
Well, there was.
Yeah,
I mean,
you were sad. You were hurting.
Yeah, but it didn't last that long. You know what I mean? Because I really don't like being drunk. But,
It's not good.
And there was a lot of therapy that went with it, and that's what brought me close to Rick Allen and Lauren. You know what I mean? Is because there's a lot of people that are suicide survivors, and that's what I brought up to them. It's like he killed himself, and I got to be carrying the weight of it. You know what I mean? And
That's right. And
and
you're
wonder
still left here,
that goes with it. So
Yeah. Well, it wasn't for the lack of loving you and respecting you. This was just some inside stuff that, like you said, it's just one of those mysteries, And
that was pretty hard to convince me of that for the first 2 years.
Of course. You were running. I can only imagine the scenario you were running in your head.
A lot
it
of
must
weight
have been hard.
you carry on that.
On the flip side, you probably know more about depression than you probably ever wanted to know.
That's true. It's
but I'd
more,
want you around if I
more
was
than I'd
dealing
like to
with it.
discuss. You know what I mean?
That's a good
Sometimes
point,
it's true.
Brian.
Yeah,
That's a
I'd
good
want you
point.
around if I was dealing with it, because I know you could recognize
Yeah.
the signs that people wouldn't normally.
Well, I've had
recognize.
friends reach out to me, and there was a very dear friend that I believe she's in Reno, and her son, committed suicide, and it was right near Halloween, and it was, his dad came into what he thought was a pretty morbid joke, and it turned out to be his son.
Oh, that's right.
He was 14 years old, and so my friend Tim reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you talk to the Carrie? And I said, yeah. You know, I gave her a call and I told her all the things that helped me. You know.
Yeah.
And we're to this day we're still friends. You know.
Oh, that's
The
wonderful.
light shines on, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, and she
absolutely,
started
it
a lot of
must.
movement. You know, towards trying to fix it. You know, she created a thing called Forever 14. You know. And she inspired me to, you know, get together with Bob Powers and your brother George
Yes.
and Gordon Taylor and start Loving Hands for Stagehands.
All right, you're jumping a little ahead now.
No,
Hang
I
on, I
know.
want to come right
That's all
back.
right.
We'll come immediately back to that because that's a really interesting subject.
Yeah.
I want to say before we do, and so, you know, a lot of times in my experience, we also, as you well know, have some suicide history in our family.
Yeah.
And it's sadly too common in our world. And a lot of times, in my perspective on this, it's people not understanding there's answers and help out there, and they commit a permanent act over what is typically a short-term problem,
true.
a temporary problem. And so there's resources out there, folks. There's the suicide prevention hotline. There's groups. There's people that come together. There's survivors of suicide. There's people that can help folks that are considering or just having a really bad day. Segue to you having this history, my brother and our family having this history, Bobby
Absolutely.
Powers being one of the sweetest guys on the planet.
Right.
You guys decided to start a group on Facebook, a closed group, or is it open?
It's open.
I thought
And in fact, we're still getting members now. We're over 1,200, 1,300.
that's
people.
fantastic.
And all the way from Germany, all the way all over the
Oh
United
yeah,
States.
yeah. It's amazing how where these folks come
Quite
from,
international
right?
now.
But it's with a specific stance or slant, and let's correct me if I'm wrong, for folks in our industry.
Absolutely. You can't really join the group unless you have something to do with the entertainment industry, period.
So it's conditionally open.
Absolutely. You got to agree to the rules and you got to be in the industry.
Yeah,
Only two
that's
things.
how my pages are too. You
Yeah.
know,
And I got to tell you, to Bob Powers' credit, he vets them. You know,
Oh,
he
no,
vets
you're
the
not
people
getting
that
in
go
if you're
through.
not
I
supposed
vet
to
them.
be there.
And what's even better is we've got, like 20 people, including yourself, that are
Yeah.
administrators.
That's right.
That kind of watch over everything.
just keep care, make sure people are playing nice. And
Oh,
that the
yeah, yeah,
content-
you know-
I think it's an important thing to point out is, as you say, it's restricted for people not to get the wrong idea.
No.
Stagehands, people who work in this industry have a
Right.
particular set of circumstances.
Shit, you can work in catering and you can join the group. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So it's not like, you know, pick and choose. It's
Right.
like we understand, you understand the people in our industry, you understand what they do, the challenges they face
Right.
daily,
That are
their family
specific to
strifes
this
and problems.
industry.
There's specificity to it.
Yes.
That
Yes.
that you created the group to address.
Yes.
I've often said that this industry is ebb and flow, and it's very much like a drug. It's got its highs and it's got its lows.
Yeah.
And it can be hard
And-
during the lows.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
know,
And you don't know why you
I
took
got
it
a
the
lot
first
of people
time.
that come and say, "Hey, man, I met this guy in this load-in, and he was awesome, man. He's just great."
Yeah.
And I go, "Great. Tell me how he's like on the strike."
Yeah.
Because
Right.
on the
doubt.
loadout, that's
No
when you
doubt.
find out what
That's
the
when you
fuck they're
find
made
Yeah,
of.
that's right.
You know, and it's like,
yeah.
so, you know, I can't go forward with talking about that without bringing up my family again because,
Go ahead.
you know, my cousin George came to me when Kyle passed away, and he gave me the biggest freaking hug that I've ever had. You know, it was what I really needed, you know, and I
Yeah.
love him to death to this day, you know.
Hugs
And
go a long
and when
way.
I was in the hospital, he brought my cousin John Marie out, and you know, my cousin Patricia and her husband Robert. I had so many phone calls. I'm getting emotional talking about it,
It's
but
okay.
they mean so much to me, and it's just it's incredible. You know what I mean? That they have. And I brought my own tissues, dude, so I'm okay.
All right, he's okay.
But
guys.
you know
He's
what I'm
okay.
saying. But you know, they know how I feel about them. But
Yes.
it was really, really something. My cousin Linda and Jerry were out in Arizona, and they couldn't come out. But they, you know, I felt their support, you know.
Yeah.
And all the friends and just so many people. You know, we were all together at my house there.
Great photos.
And
yeah.
I left my house, and I mean, there were dishes in there and everything. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It wasn't the most welcoming home for them to come and stay in, and they totally busted in. They had the key to get in, and
Yeah.
and you know, I don't know who did my dishes, but I still haven't put them all back where they need to go because I'm finding shit all over the kitchen still. But
Yeah.
for four of us to be together, and my nephew, you know what I mean, and my sister-in-law and my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, to have that many come around and we didn't even argue. You know what I mean? We
That's
were
so good.
laughing and cracking up, and it's really true testament to my mom. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
she sewed a pretty good,
Yeah, she did a good job
bunch
with
of
the raising of the
knuckleheads,
kid.
you know?
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I'm glad that
Yeah.
it kind of came around in a way.
By the
that
way, they
brought
would have got
family.
really upset if I didn't drop their names and everything.
No. Well, one of the things, just so you guys know out there, the family that's watching, one of the things that, and he even wrote a card, but I felt he just dealt with it, was when we talked about coming on, one of the main reasons you wanted to come on was you wanted to share the love. You wanted to,
Absolutely
to do a little name call and a
Yeah,
little name check.
they don't
and
know
say,
how much that means.
Yeah,
and
I know it was huge for you. And
Do now, in perpetuity.
You can tell them that you love them,
So
you know what I
he
mean?
has-
But
so-
showing them is a different thing. So.
Right. So I put a little here to send out the message of love to all the good people that were out there for you and reached in when you were in the hospital, because I know that was important to
Yeah,
you
it
during
was.
this interview.
Your
so.
brother actually sent me a set of flowers, and it had a neat little bumblebee in it, and it said "Get well."
I remember.
And then underneath it said "You big knucklehead."
Yeah, didn't he?
And
didn't
there was
sign
no
it.
signature.
He didn't sign it. And that
No
freaked him out
signature.
for
Well,
a
he
while.
said he did, but they didn't have it on there. And I said, "That's classic. You gotta love that.
Yeah,
That's truly,
yeah. Well,
somebody who loves you."
You know he loves you, man.
I know.
You know.
I know.
All right, so now when we start this thing up, but I wanted to get all that out in the front. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just
Yeah.
to talk about, let you speak to it, and we're so glad that you're feeling better. You look great. You look bright-eyed. I know you lost.
Yeah,
a
that's
couple
the other
pounds.
thing. I lost 20 pounds so
Yeah,
far, and
yeah, it's huge.
I got full mobility. The only thing I have a problem with is penmanship, but I'm trying to work on that.
I could never read your writing.
Yeah, well, that's not true.
You're not far off the original
I
mark.
take quite pride in my writing. In fact, in Bill Graham days, I
Yeah.
used to do the operational signs,
Yeah.
for where the restroom was, where the medical was, because I know how to print.
There's
Yeah,
a bunch of
no,
12-year-olds out there now going, what's writing?
What? Right? What?
Right.
Yeah, isn't it, he means typing. He
Type-
means
he
typing.
means typing,
Typing
yes.
and printing.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, well, I was gonna, you've watched this show. We've done 100 and whatever of these shows.
Right.
And normally we more or less like, how'd you get in the business? But you just brought up Bill Graham Presents, right? And so talk to me. I'm pretty sure that's maybe not the exact beginning, but talk to us about your early days in the game.
Well, that is actually my beginning. I started working at a radio station, and I used to answer the phones, and I used to get people, into the show. You know what I mean? They'd
Yeah.
call number 7, you're lucky winner.
Yeah.
What's your name? Vince?
Yeah.
Vince Edwards?
Yeah.
And the catch was you had to bring me with you. So I was
chaperone.
I was at a show like that, and and this other friend of ours had taken me to do ushering at the Kabuki and old Wolfgangs. Remember those old clubs that we had?
I saw Venom and Slayer and Exodus there in
there you
1981.
go.
Great room. Yeah.
So, but anyways, and I was at this Tom Waits show, and Tom Waits an acquired taste, I could
He
say
sure
the
is.
least. And so,
Very nice man, by the way.
right.
Yeah.
But I had no idea who he was, and I had no idea of his music, and. I mean, it's like going to see Lou Rawls the first time. You got to be prepared.
A little,
or Frank Zappa.
a little more edgy, a little more New York,
yeah.
but yeah, he's very special.
So
thing.
I was walking around, and there was this guy that kept getting hassled by the side of the stage, and I went over and I said, "Why don't I help? Can I help?" And he's all like, "No, you can't help." And I'm all like, "Well, let's see." And I go, and the guys walk by, and I says, "Hey, he gets paid to be nice to you. I'm not."
Yeah.
And anyways, they tried it again, and one of them walked away limping, and Steve told me, he goes, "You can't do this. You got to talk to those guys over there." I had a lot of fun with it. I was in construction back then, and
Yeah. Healthy as
and
hell.
I was a bit of a hellraiser.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I talked to Brian and Terry Lynch, Brian Auger and Terry Lynch, and
Sure.
they got me, and I started out ushering, and then I went into security. And I hated security because you're a big guy, and they stick you right in the front of the stage,
Yeah. That's right.
And so I started coming up with the line, "I'm too insecure to be security," So, and then from there, I started working ambiance and then production support, and then I started doing site coordinating. I was led by the great Nigel James and Bob Barsotti.
Yeah, I want to hear about Bob.
Yeah,
The Barsotti family's legendary in this business.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so
Yeah.
Bob and his wife, they pretty much for the last 28, 29 years, maybe longer, have been doing shows up in Northern California in Laytonville.
Yeah.
And I call it the biggest little show
Yeah, they
in the
bring it.
industry
They
because
bring
it is
yeah.
truly a production, and it's really, really tough. And it's kind of funny, but over the years now, they come around and they got me back now. They pulled me out of retirement. So I've been working. They got the String Cheese show that they're doing in June, and they did one last year with that, and started confiscating nitrous tanks, which I haven't done in probably about 15 years.
What do you do with them once you get them?
Well, that's top secret. But let's just say they
we
don't
need
get
to
'em.
talk after the show then,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that's total bullshit.
I get
that
it,
you're not
but
sharing that. Yeah.
it's kind of funny. But we tell them, if you use it, you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
And it's not a joke, because now there's this organization called the Nitrous Mafia, and they started showing up at our gig.
No shit.
And they're pretty rough, And
Well, what's the game? I mean, what are they trying to
they
corner
carry
it?
weapons, and they're pretty big, and they're just not your typical hippie crowd, so they stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And then when security goes and talks to them, they flat out threaten the security guard.
Wow.
And so we've got them. We just tell everybody to back off, and then we just try to isolate where they're at, and then we call the sheriff in.
Oh shit.
And and when that happens, you never know what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
we try to clear out the area around there where they're at.
Wow.
But this isn't that big of a show. String Cheese, I think we got maybe 3,000, 4,000 campers last time.
We're talking about String Cheese Incident.
Yes.
Jam band, famous
Yes,
jam band.
yes.
Yeah, very good.
And so they've
live
got a great
performers.
following, you know what I mean? And it's a great party for everybody, but you got to set up certain rules,
Absolutely.
And that's what I basically when I worked for Bob, he had a plan, and and I didn't know what the plan was. But you do every little job that you was there. I started out, I used to stripe the highway with Bob, stopping the freeway traffic, which he taught me. He says that's really the coolest thing ever, when you can stop traffic. And so we'd
The
stop
power.
traffic, and we double stripe the lanes, and we do the box office. And I had about a 2-week stretch, and I was riding Bill's Yamaha.
No kidding.
And
Bill
I
Graham.
went through an evolution now. So I started out riding a motorcycle, and then I went to a quad, and then and now I'm in a golf cart with a roof on it.
Living the dream.
And also, when I started out, I slept in a tent, and then I moved to a teepee, and then I had my RV,
Yeah.
and now I'm in a hotel room in town.
Oh my goodness. So that's called
So-
evolution,
You know you made
man.
it when.
Progression.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
right. That's right.
but I keep my radio on, and they got my phone on even at night, so that if they need me
Sure,
at night, they
sure.
can get me out there. But and basically my job is to help everybody else do their job, because I basically done all their jobs.
Yes.
So
Well,
and
that's-
I got to tell you, man, I just love doing it, and you know what? That's Bob and Susie have been a huge influence in my life. And these last couple of years that I came back, I'd like, you know why I run the company that I'm at the way I do? It's because of your training.
Yeah.
Because of the way you guys taught me.
You consider him a really strong mentor in your life, correct?
He is, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
the guy.
yeah.
He's the closest thing to working for Bill himself.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
I don't take it lightly.
No.
And that's another thing that Bob taught me. He said it was a couple years back when he had back when I was doing like the Earth Dance shows, and all of a sudden Bob didn't show up one morning, and we were all like, "Where's Bob? Where's Bob? What's going on with Bob?" And
Yeah.
and then you get word down the line, Susie got hold of people in the production, and he had a massive kidney stone. It was pretty bad, and he was in a lot of pain. And so when I saw him a couple days later, show's full running, you know what I mean? We're in day 2, and I'm like, "How are you doing? How you doing?" And I'm like, man, I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. We had doors and everything, and normally it goes through the checks,
Yeah.
security ready, everybody ready, and
Sure.
and then you open doors. But Bob was the guy who would do that,
Yes.
and so we had to step up and do it ourselves. And Bob told me, he says, everybody's expendable in this job.
Sure.
Even me,
Sadly,
that's what he
yeah.
said, and
Yeah.
that's what taught me how to go through this process that I was, because my crew, when I got 10 guys working for me, and there wasn't one of them that didn't carry their weight,
Yeah. What, in
Caleb-
your absence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Vince Biancalana, that's my right-hand guy,
Yes.
as well as Vince Kinney, and he's my warehouse manager, and then I've got Caleb, that's my installer, and then I've got 3 other installers now. I got Alan Ives,
No kidding.
Dawn Campbell, and Casey Gibson.
Oh, so
So
it's a solid
I
team.
got 4. I got 2 women working for me. I
Yeah.
got MJ, who came to us after she did a big Google job with us, and I've got a friend Bundy, Jeff Perrin's son, Johnny Perrin's working for me now,
No kidding.
and it's really, really these guys are top-notch guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was really, really lucky, and that's to say another thing about the people that I work for.
Yeah.
You know, Joey and Joe had nothing but real concern over me and what was going on with me, and
The Gallaghers we're talking about.
yeah, and they
Yeah.
paid me throughout the whole time I was down. I didn't have to go to disability or anything like that.
It's really great.
They just really took care of me, and I
amazing.
was ready to come back because I was pretty much back to normal.
Yeah.
But everybody was, you know, just take it easy, take it easy. So I had
A little more time.
I had about 6-8 weeks out, and then
Wow.
I started showing up at the shop, you know, 3 days a week, and this next week I'm going in full time. I think I try to do it that way.
No
you know?
kidding. Well, just go easy, but it sounds
Yeah,
like you're ready.
yeah.
It
All it
sounds
is
like-
is they, you know, that's the thing that's funny because I don't get stressed out about the job anymore. I get stressed out over my employees, you know,
Oh,
and
sure.
the way they act and react.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
no,
mean? And it's like, you know,
yeah.
they got a job to do and I got a job to do. And I don't stand for anybody calling me the boss. You know, I'm not the boss. I'm a leader.
Yeah.
You know,
You're the coach.
I'm setting by an example, you know, which is another thing that Bob taught me. You can't lead things unless you set an example.
Yeah.
So,
No, you're not wrong. No, and I think to the man, they respect and love you
Yeah.
for what you bring to the table, and nobody thinks that nobody's stupid enough to believe that they know more about staging than you do,
Right.
or the rock and roll game in itself. We're talking about, of course, the great Gallagher Staging out of
Yep.
Oakland. They're, I believe, headquartered in the L.A. area. Is this
Yep.
correct?
Down on Moreno, yeah.
And a little birdie told me, correct me if I'm wrong, that here in the Bay Area we have a few really large events that take place. Word on the street is that you may have acquired the staging contract for outside lands.
we've had outside lands for a while, but we
But you-
just grabbed Bottle Rock.
You took Bottle Rock.
Yeah, they like they typically do. They'll do a 3-year contract with vendors. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we've had a standing contract with them. I've been involved with Bottle Rock since year one, as you know.
Yes.
For either one company or the other.
Yes.
And they when I moved over to Gallagher, they were prepared to move over to Gallagher as well, and we signed a 3-year contract. But then, you know, the main stage was usually done by Mountain Productions,
That's right.
and they were done with their 3 years, and their quote was, I don't know, probably reflected their true cut trucking costs.
Sure.
You know, and
Well, they gotta
that's
come
quite,
from a ways,
quite
right?
extensive, and
Yeah.
you know, it probably is a really good idea for them to, because we have an Oakland shop, it can give support
Yeah.
to whatever the event that we have going in the North Bay, you know, up here.
That's right.
Northern California, I should say.
Sure.
So, and then on top of that, we have BP Productions that carries our gear, and we work in unison
That's right.
with them as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
Yeah. It's
really excited that we're getting Bottle Rock because we got 2 stages there, and probably about 900 to 1,000 decks going out there.
Jesus Christ.
It's massive. It's bigger than outside lands.
No shit.
Yeah, it's
By
really
attendance or just by size of stage?
by the size of the stage
Yeah,
and
because
the
I
amount of
think
decking.
attendance is bigger
Yeah.
than outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what a hell of a show.
Yeah, because they actually got the 2 main stages, and now I'm finding out that the 3rd stage, which is under that truss structure, and I did it for years with the other company.
Yeah.
And now they're having our Oakland shop handle that, just
No kidding.
our shop.
Wow, that's
you know,
great.
so it's kind of cool. Yeah.
That's really great. So Gallagher's doing well, you'd say.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud to be working for Joe and Joey. I mean,
Yeah.
and I got to tell you, another shout out. I mean, Lisa Munson, who does HR, Megan Gallagher, who runs the office, Anthony Melendrez, who's the head sales guy, and you know, it's just top notch. Those people, along with Joe Golden and Billy Cormier and our warehouse down there,
Yeah.
which I don't know how that guy keeps himself sane
Yeah.
with the amount of jobs that he does. But
Yeah.
those people
They keep it-
truly have helped me make what I have in Oakland work.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
Did you send a word out to Golden that when we get some of the larger?
I did not
hoodies
mention
in?
it to him, but Joe, he's got you covered.
Yeah, when they come in, Joe,
they come
we'll
in-
send you some hoodies, some
So
swag.
quit bugging him, Joe. That's what I got. He told me to tell you to quit bugging him. So
Never said that, Joseph. He just likes to mix it up. You know this man. You know this man. So, I know once in a while when, we deal with stress. We deal with a lot of deadlines in this game.
Yeah.
You're in the staging business. This is not an easy business. This is a business that is hard work and, hard men. And I know that from time to time, it was your tradition to run off to your property in Hawaii. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's been my your mental checkpoint. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny because when I was working for all those years, I'd have 2 weeks up with the Barsotis.
Yes.
And
yes.
you know, Bob let me run what I had to do, and I ran my own show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was there for support.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But he let me. I didn't have my boss standing over my back.
Nice.
And you know, you got a time to just go down by the river and chill for a little bit, and you can answer the radio.
Yeah.
And deal with problems because, like I say, I've grown into this position now with the ranch because I know all the hog farmers. I grew up around them.
Yes.
You know, and so now I'm just there to help.
Yeah,
You know,
support.
so I really can be anywhere as long as I can hear the radio.
Yeah, right. You can do your job from
Right.
the radio, the Wi-Fi, and a cell phone.
What's funny is I got my hippie name up there. You know,
What is it?
it's Jahan.
Okay, because I know it
Yeah,
wasn't
throw
like
a little extra in there. You know what I mean?
Jahan.
Yeah, Jahan. There was a guy that was that came in and he wanted to get a radio, and his name was Jamai, and he says, and my buddy Mitch says, how do you spell that? And he goes, Jimi. And then the guy left. He goes, isn't that just Jimmy? And I go, no, you don't understand. It's a hippie name. And I go, don't you know what the hippie name is, Mitch? And he goes, no. And that's where I came up with Jahan.
Jahan.
And
I
it's
love
funny,
it.
Susie to this day, she calls me Jahan.
That's fucking.
And it's fucking
Here,
great.
smoke this. You'll get it right.
Yeah,
right,
there was a lot of guys, a lot of the hippies, they come around, they say, you know, you don't get my scene, you know, you're just a skinhead, you know. And I'm all, it's not the hair on your head, it's the hair inside that counts.
Yes.
You know, because if I
That's
could
right.
grow hair, I'd be growing hair.
Of course you would.
You know?
You might even be a hippie.
But yeah,
Yeah. You know, I'm fascinated by your work. You know, we work, our companies work, and luckily we get to work together frequently. And you build some really exciting, interesting stages around the country. I was curious about, I know we have photos of it, of that Versace thing you did. That was,
yeah,
That was
he's got,
really
Mike's got a list of what will go down the line with,
yeah,
if
you
Mike
could
wants
show
to
a
put them
photo
up
of
there.
that, I'd love to see that.
But we'll start out with the Oakland shop. You know,
Yeah.
Vince quoted this job for Hartman. That's the roller rink that's been out by City Hall.
No kidding.
And that thing's been in there there it is, for 6 months.
Wow.
And it's coming
that's
out
your roof right
in April, you know, at the end of the first week of April here.
Yeah, has it been
So-
successful?
Oh yeah, and it was just incredible, and
Yeah.
the amount of work that went with it. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
was
it's
just
beautiful.
Yeah, and
Look at that.
it's really cool. And so they did that whole thing,
Yeah.
and it was enclosed, you know, for the rainy season. And
Sure.
So, but you know, there's still some damage that's going to be on those decks for all that
Well,
time that it's
that's,
out. You know,
that's part of your business.
part of
you
the
know?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, Joe Golden was involved in the Nike Maxim show,
Yes.
which
Tell us about
happened up in Oregon, and thankfully he's taken like Caleb with him, so he brings Caleb under his wing and teach him a few things that Caleb might think he knows, but he doesn't really know.
He still needs
You
some
know,
time. He's
yeah,
a little
'cause
wet,
it's- you
a
learn
little
by
green.
experience, you
That's
know?
right. That's right.
So but they did that show. That was 11,000 square feet.
Woof.
And it was all ring scaff, you know, and there was 120,000 pounds of ballast on that thing,
Damn.
and 83,000 lineal feet of scaffolding, you know, and that's old school, baby, right
Oh
there.
no, dude! See it for
That's
yourself.
the way we used to do the old Day on the Green shows.
That's
You know what I
exactly
mean?
what that is. That's what it reminds me of. It's like a
and
festival type
that was
thing or
really really
something.
impressive, and it was Drake was there on the. That's why the entire wall was built for those 3 screens that are there.
For
That's
Drake.
all it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the amount of ballast were just to make sure those screens didn't fall over on Drake. And then there's Drake there.
It would have
so,
been a long
yeah,
day.
but that was really something. And then
Yeah.
Joe
Old school.
also, you know, Joe's our main project manager guy. He really oversees the projects, and it's hard to get anything past him. You know what I mean? And,
Sure.
And even if you are giving him something to do, he'll tell you what you did wrong. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah. He's all
And
about
I love the
safety.
guy. You know what I mean? But sometimes I'm like, Jesus, Joe, can you just give me a break? And nope, no breaks, John. You got to do it by the rules. You know, you got to do it right, and that's the thing. So, yeah. So,
I've always known you only to be that way. You know, safety first. It's what you do, what we do. You know, flying speakers and
sure, but I'm
and
from the
working
Bill
with
Graham
high-
school.
high
You know what I
power.
mean? And if it looks safe, then it probably is safe. You know. So you know, nowadays, like I was saying, everything's engineered, and you have to go through. There's so many things, and thank God
Yeah.
that we got a guy like Joe because he's really well versed on code and what can fly and what can't,
Sure.
and his years of experience. I mean, he worked with John Murray Productions. He worked at Top Productions. He,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah, he is.
he's a Bay Area boy. So he's
Yeah.
another thing. He really understands my clientele up here. So
That's
it's really been
important.
really good.
That is important.
He's a very, very, very good
Yes.
friend. You know.
Yeah, you're not
Understanding the people in the Bay Area is really a talent.
Yeah. No.
It is,
We're a
'cause
small sandbox.
We're a
and,
little bit special.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm
we're by
totally
the
down
book,
with that.
and we're-
yeah, because I really, truly, I couldn't even do the jobs I wouldn't do unless I had Cameron Brown, you know, for backing me up. And
That's the co-owner of LSV, Large Screen Video.
yeah, Large Screen Video,
Yeah.
and
Mensch, a
and
great
then
man.
Impact Lighting, you know, all those
Yeah.
guys over there,
Yes.
you know, they're a big help. And I just spoke with Kevin Branch today, you know,
Oh, no
stage
kidding.
rigging, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fucking guy's awesome, you know.
He's one of the best.
And then you know Anthony Powers at Felix, you know,
Yeah.
because we work with Felix down in
Well,
LA.
you're just name dropping
We work-
like a fool a day, aren't you?
Yeah, man, I'm just
Yeah.
telling you,
No,
these
that's-
guys,
I'm feeling at a
they
disadvantage here, I
deserve,
really
they
am.
deserve that. you
These
know?
are all really great. Kevin Branch is stage rigging. If you want your shit certified and dealt with, Kevin Branch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want a great deal on a big lighting package, fucking Anthony fucking Powers.
Yeah.
There's just, that's Felix.
My
Felix
goal now
Lighting.
is to get on John Del Rio's name drop list.
There you go.
That's my life
Well,
goal now.
so remind me about the Kerry thing with him too. He
That's
ain't
not gonna
getting
get
off.
me on
He
that
ain't getting
list,
off
by
the
the way.
list. I want to go back a little bit, Johnny, because I feel like we just scratched the surface. I want a little more definition about when we just touch on this quickly. We mentioned that my brother, yourself, and Bobby Powers started this page under this time when there was a lot of. Well, COVID was going, and there was a lot of
And a
stress
lot of suicide, yeah.
depression, and friends of ours were turning up missing in a bad way. And
Yeah.
so you made Loving Hands for Stagehands. How do you see it? How would you give me the mission statement, the elevator speech on that? Is it a place for support for people that are, you know,
We initially wanted it to
struggling
be
with
a place
emotional
because,
things?
you know, I've got 39 years in the business, and I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a lot of people that, you know, I just hired a guy in Dallas, you know, that he's going to be my truck driver, you know.
Yeah.
And this other guy, Marty, he's the other driver. And it's like, you know, they look at me and they go to these jobs and they say, how many people do you know? You know?
Who don't,
And
yeah.
I says, you know, you think you've got two eyes watching you, but there's probably 19 or 20, you know, because some of them are one-eyed bastards, you know, and they're looking at them. But they all know that if they're wearing a Gallagher shirt, you know, that they're
Yeah.
working for me.
Yeah, that's right.
So they go through a little bit of hazing and all that, you
Sure.
know. And a
Normal.
lot of them, they don't know whether, you know, that they're getting hazed because they're working for me or because they did something, you know.
right.
So it's kind of funny, but, you know, we wanted to make it a place where you could reach out. And that was one of the big things that, you know, we wanted people to know. We're not psychiatrists.
No.
We're not doctors.
No.
You know what I mean? But we're good listeners.
You're people that care.
And we know the industry because
Yeah.
we've, between George, myself, and Bob,
Yeah.
and even Gordon,
Yeah.
we probably got close to a fucking 100 years there.
No, you got it closer to 200.
Well,
actually.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because you're
So,
all old as fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
Cocksucker.
Yeah.
like I was saying,
Yeah.
it's not the years, it's the mileage.
There you go.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that really is, that can be daunting. I remember when I started working, I mean, I just didn't want to go and ask certain questions.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I try to tell my employees, because it's imperative that they know, that, look, while you're here at work, you don't have to worry about slacking off because somebody will come and kick you in the ass and
Yeah.
get you in shape.
That's gonna happen.
But when you leave the job and you got problems at home, that's going to affect your job during the day as well.
Yeah.
So if you're having problems, we're here
Yeah.
to listen, and not just me. I mean, it's a family atmosphere there.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I've had some kids that have came to work for me that weren't ready for the type of hours that we put in.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
It isn't. I
No.
mean, if you want a 9 to 5, that ain't going to work
That
for
ain't
you
gonna
on this
play.
job.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
a lot like the fire department.
A
We
lot
don't know
like
when
the
they're going to
fire-
call.
Yeah, and we put out fires in,
Right,
in
all the
emergency
time.
situations, more or less. Yeah.
My job isn't as
metaphorically.
technical as yours is,
Yeah.
because all I have to do is make sure it's safe and it's sturdy and it's level.
That seems pretty fucking
Yeah, I was gonna
important.
say,
though.
that's-
that
yeah,
seems
that's-
pretty
that's-
fucking important.
That's way down the priority list on a show.
You know,
Yeah,
that's the
so,
thing. And,
yeah.
and my personnel are kind of harder to get than, you know, the average college guy that gets out of college, because most of them that I've seen out of college, they don't want to come and work at a staging company and have 160-pound decks.
I,
great
I, hate,
job.
I hate to say it, but all right, I'm sure every generation says this, but I really feel there is something more to it than ever. some of the folks nowadays are a little soft, man. They're not.
I would agree with you on that.
Different.
But
Something's,
to one of
how he
my
was raised.
most recent employees, Johnny Perrin, he's 21 years old,
Yeah.
and his dad was in the business, and
Yeah.
his mom, Joelle, she was working at Bill Graham Presents as well.
Yeah.
And so he was showing some interest in wanting to get in the business. So she said, hey, do you want to put my son to work? And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. And he's tall, and and that kid came out there, and he didn't open his phone, not once.
That's fantastic.
And that's unusual for a 21-year-old.
yeah. Very different.
If he doesn't have nothing to do, he's standing there to
Go to the phone.
But he's
That's
like a
right.
puppy. He's like climbing the walls
Yeah.
on his little scooter from one end of the shop to the other shop.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just awesome.
Malleable. You're gonna build him into a stage man.
Yeah, if I can mold him, and that's the thing. I told him, he wants to go out on gigs and wants to go out on gigs, and I'm like, you can't go out on gigs until you know what everything is.
Sure.
Last thing I want to have is that you're on a job and the guy's asking you for a deckhand, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Fuck you, they don't exist."
Yeah.
And because you got to know what the gear is.
Oh man, it's so critical. It's so critical.
But that's the thing. So
Well, I had to ask you, and I really believe this over time and observation, the show's to highlight different disciplines in our business, right? Tonight we're doing you and staging and for multiple reasons, not just the staging aspect of you, but for the love of you and your recent stuff. But, a front of house guy, at least in my experience, is not the same as a monitor guy.
Right.
Is not the same as a rigger.
Right.
Is not the same as an LD.
Right.
These are different people in different ways, largely to do with character and the way they walk through the world.
That's true.
And so, is there something? And I think I already know the answer to this, knowing many of you. But is there something special and distinct about staging folks? People that choose that as a career.
From the sales aspect and the builders aspect, because I've heard it numerous times. Caleb was on a job that was the rodeo job that we did in Texas.
That was a big build, though. That was huge, right?
Yeah, Arlington, Texas, and it was that was the hardest job that he's ever been on in his life.
Wow.
And I've seen this guy trench through mud.
Wow.
So it was really, really something to hear him say that. So he likes the challenge of the build, as well as all my installers. That's what they really want to do. They want to go out there and build.
Sure.
Because they're reading blueprints. They're building something there was nothing there before. As from the sales part, from my side, I love the design part of it. You know what I mean? And there's an idea of what people want, and
Yeah.
there's a reality of they want, and then there's actually what they get.
Oh, what can be done too?
Right,
Yeah,
that's
there's
true,
the
because
limitations of physics. and such.
Everything's contingent upon engineering. You know what I mean? I can design something, and after the years of experience that I've had now, with 15 years under my belt, that I can tell that if you want to put up an archway and you want to do, perfect example. My friend Tony Gimignani is doing a pizza, beer, bagel and beer festival out on Stockton Street.
Well, let's say who Tony Giammi is. Tony Giammi is a world-class, frequently nominated the country's
13-time pizza champion.
Pizza champion. I mean, he's extraordinary.
And I don't even know how many restaurants he's got these days.
A lot.
It's like
He's very good at what he does.
And he's that guy tours as much as some of my
he's
tour
on the road
buddies.
as much as any of us.
He's as much on the road as any of my friends. So he, he's doing this pizza, beer, and wine, and I said pizza, bagels, and beer, and he wanted an arch in the front of the road, and I'm like, how did you do it before? And he told me, well, I don't know. The company came out and they put it, and I'm like, we got to come out with 3,500 pound ballast and put them, underneath the archway. It's 35 feet wide.
Wow.
Over the street.
That's quite an arch.
And
Yeah.
it's 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I mean, and they're hanging a banner on it, so it's going to be like
it's
a wind sail, you know.
Yeah.
So and then when they built their stage and they looked at the other one that they had a couple years back, the guys attached the truss to the stage, which is probably okay as long as your decks weigh 160 pounds like mine do.
Yeah.
But these don't.
No.
So that means that when you got a wind load,
You need to
and they had
balance that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's you see certain things and you're able to call the shots, but everything's contingent on engineering.
Probably okay is not a stage I want to go on.
Right. Well,
Or be even near.
Or be near, yeah.
Yeah.
What you don't know won't hurt you. You know what I mean?
Until it
So-
hurts you. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people.
Or at least you didn't see it coming.
There's a lot of people that get in underneath some stuff, and I wouldn't go anywhere near it.
Yeah.
But then again, and it's weird. No matter where you are in the world, I've seen trusts being put up in Europe, and stages being built in Europe. You see a lot of these mobile portable stages that come up, and
Oh, sure.
it's like, who the hell is that guy? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we were at the Reno Italian Festival. My brother Rick was walking around with me, and he looked at the stage, and I go, I can tell you how much they paid for that. And he goes, within a couple $100, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he goes, why don't you just go over there and try to get this job next? And I go, I don't know if I want to fucking drive to Reno.
That's a stretch.
And I don't even know if they're prepared for the budget, because we're top-notch company, and you know, we pay our guys what's fair. You know what I mean? We don't pay.
Reno's a special
not
place.
hokey stuff. Yeah.
I wouldn't personally pursue my work there.
Joe Battles constantly, calling me up, and Live Nation's a big part of our industry.
Sure.
Just like Another Planet, just like Golden Voice.
Sure.
So now that Frost Amphitheater's running, we got AEG that we're working with a lot.
Right.
And we've always had a great relationship with Mary Condi, and
Of course, she's the best.
Yeah, and at Another Planet.
Yeah.
And which is another quick thing. I mean, when I was going under the knife, I didn't know whether I was going to come out the other end.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of people that I wanted to call. And Bob, of course, was one of them. Steve Mack was another one.
Steve
and,
McFadden
called
and
Steve
Mary
Payne
Condi.
and Mary Condi,
Yeah.
and wanted to let them know how
The godmother,
what they meant.
man. She's the real deal.
Yeah, what they mean to me. You know what I mean?
That's
Because
very
we
kind.
basically grew up together, and
Yeah.
I wanted them to hear it from me, from my voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was very
So it made everything a lot easier to deal with. But
sweet. Yeah, and
but-
you probably got some realizations about some stuff in your head that was maybe not exactly correct.
like I said, I'm a lot smarter now than I was
Good,
before.
good. Yeah, good. I'm glad.
More blood flow will do that.
Yeah, right. You got a whole bunch of new blood in there.
Yeah. I figured I was going to stick around. I got a new pair of glasses too.
Oh, very smart. That's an investment in time.
Yeah, that is.
Well, good. Well, you're not allowed to leave because you got to
At least
get a
2
note
years.
from me, and I'm not handing them out. So you're with us for a while.
Yeah.
We're already past an hour, but when these things are going good, they go fast.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was good. What's next for you? What are you doing?
Yeah, we're concentrating on these festivals that we got, and really bearing down on what we're going to have to. We have a weekly sales meeting every week, literally down in LA, they're literally in the next office over.
Yeah.
Some of our guys like Dan Broadhead, he's working from home.
Yeah.
Joey's where he's wherever in the world he is at.
Sure.
So everybody joins in, and we get into these meetings, and we go over the calendar, and we look at where we're at, and we're really trying to project what we're doing. And that's, once again, my shop. I've set up, so I've got a backup plan. So if I go down, I got Vince there and Vinny to run everything. And that's what confuses everybody. By the way, Vince Biancalana is having a baby.
No shit.
Yeah, he's having a little girl. Congratulations
This
to
is
Vince and
Anthony's
Jamie.
kid?
Huh?
Anthony's kid?
Yeah, this is Anthony's, Tony's son.
Anthony,
Tony and Yvonne.
Yeah, he mentioned something. I just didn't put it together.
Yeah, so they're going to have a little girl, and I'm pretty sure they're going to name her Lana Biancalana or Bianca Biancalana. So we don't know which one yet. But that's what I'm rooting for. But it's a funny story, because Yvonne was actually hoping she was going to have a girl when she was pregnant with Vince. And that's what the joke started, you know what I mean? I got all this.
Yeah.
I got all this directly from the Biancalana. So.
Tony, first of all, is hilarious. He's
Absolutely.
one of the funniest guys.
And the net don't fall far from the tree.
No, good. I'm glad to hear that, because humor will carry you a long way,
Yeah.
And one of the best shows we ever did, not excluding your show, was the one with Tony.
And I hope you don't mind, but I really want to go through the Disney package of those pictures if we can, real quick.
All right, I'll let him blow through them, but we are
I
out
know
of
that
time,
we are, but I
so
guarantee
let's
people
do
are going to
this.
stay on to watch, okay?
All
Because
right.
this is really cool stuff here.
All right. What do you
So
got? Mikey, did you
I
know
wanted
he's
to
talking
mention
about?
Adam Swingler that works for us. He's like the COO. He's Chief Operating Officer. He's involved in every aspect of everybody's job.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You may not think that Adam's looking, but he is, and he handles all of our Disney gigs. Okay. So this is like the Avengers right there. Okay. When they came out. Yeah. No, it's just their presentation when the movie came out, and that's at Disneyland. And then what's the next one that you got there, Mike? Oh, this is Hoth from Star Wars, and that's actually Adam hanging upside down there. Yeah. So and you know, I don't know anything about Star Wars, so I thought it was a band.
Wait, what?
But and that's the set design that Gallagher does right there. You know, because we do movies, TV shows, and concerts. Yeah. And then there's another one with Lion King or something on there that he did at Disneyland. And that's like that everything you see there, Gallagher Staging Productions did. You know.
That's out of your game because we come in for the hard drum.
Right. Rock and roll and just build a stage and don't care. Yeah. But truly, truly amazing. And Adam oversees a lot of the Disney accounts that we have, and so, and like I say, he's involved in everything that we do. And this company couldn't. What's the last picture you got with Joe on the forklift too? Because that's the other thing. Because you lead by example. You know what I mean? He sent me this great picture of Joe. There's Adam in the front and Joe Gallagher in the back, and he's on the forklift unloading fucking trucks because everybody got laid off because of the pandemic. And Joe leads by example. You know what I mean? He could fucking retire and go on his fishing boat and be a happy man, and he's still hanging around with all us knuckleheads. Yeah. Yeah, it's just he came up with the same school that we did. You know what I mean?
No, you can't say enough shit about Joe.
Yeah, it's true.
And the same with your company. Your guys' company, Gallagher is a go-to place. We've never had anything but great luck and success with you guys.
Right.
Our B2B is strong. Our business-to-business relationship
Yeah.
is strong. I'm in love with you. I adore you like a brother. I'm so glad that
Likewise.
you're on the good side of this.
Me too.
Healthcare. I need you to keep hanging out with Bobby. Bobby's
Yeah.
in the right direction. Bobby Power.
Yeah, I certainly will.
To make sure you keep up on your.
And even Chung Kuo was a big person at telling me, for months, you got to lose weight, you got to get exercise, you got to do all this. So I really won't take any bitching from anybody else, but Chung is all right. He can do it to me, you know what I mean? And he's coming to see me maybe this weekend. We're going to go for a walk, where we usually just go out to eat something. So now we're going to go out to walk. Right, there you go. There's a dumpling spot right down the street from my house, so who knows? I can talk. Thank you. I promise I will.
Every so often I'm going to pepper you with you doing good shit. You're going to get a call, checking in, make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Right. Well, I just want everybody to know I love you all, and thank you very much for the support.
I may have less power. You guys still hearing me over there?
Ran the batteries out.
By the way, that's Mikey over there, guys.
It's the octopus.
The octopus.
That's it.
It's Audio Jesus.
Oh, it's right here, my left. There you go, brother. What happened? Did you guys send me over some bad batteries, or just it's blinking, babe? All right. Or maybe it wasn't locked.
Well, there's nothing like having a bad mic to.
Well, we
cue
made
the
it
end of the show.
to the end. Thank you, Michael. We made it to
it's
the
live.
end, and
That's what
sorry
we deal
for any technical difficulties we had.
I got to say, when I first came to see you, it was just a couple of chairs and road cases.
Yeah.
And now you got the whole Tonight Show thing going.
Well,
It's really
and the set was more developed. We tore it down to have some outsiders come in, some amazing bands come through.
I'm thinking I should get you a couple of risers so you can have, just roll everything in and roll it out.
Yeah, that would be lovely. We threw it on the little four-wheel dollies and moved the shit in pretty quick, 6 or 8 minutes. But again, it was an absolute treat to have you. Thank you for coming and sharing your stories and your experiences.
And you forgot about Kiri, just so you know. I'm glad I got out of that one.
Well, you dummy.
That was a great
Well,
tactic, actually. Let's blow him overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a good. He's got it together.
Yeah.
I'm a true salesman.
Yeah,
what
that's
can I
the goal.
say?
Snoopy, that's what we're doing. We're trying to hard sell him right now. All right, we're going to close this show up, and then you don't move because we have a talk to have with you.
You know what you got to do is an after show like Bill Maher.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
overtime.
Overtime.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it was a treat. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Keep care of yourself.
I love you. Thank
I love
you.
you, man. Bernie, thank you for being here, my sweet man. We got a gentleman coming next week. He's an extraordinary cat. This guy could fill this desktop with backstage passes over the last 50 years. He's been from film and commercial and, of course, Broadway, big Broadway guy. And we're really looking forward to him. It's Jack. His last name is tricky for me, and he's going to be mad at me. I'm going to get it wrong. Chararu. But I'm pretty sure that's not it. What he is a living legend, and he's coming here from Utah. He's going to drive. He's going to sit right over there. We're going to feed him. We're going to take care of him. We're going to dig around in his history. That's next week. We know there's 1,000 places you folks could be, the things to choose from. You come here and hang out with us. We appreciate it very much. We're going to do it again the best we can next Thursday at 7. Until then, you guys behave, be good, be kind. You know what to do. See you next week. Good night.
Aloha.